All right, you already know what it is. We're live and back with another one. I'm your host, the biggest dog, Chico to the C, and the place to be. And I got a partner here joining me right now. On3, should I say, just signed a good deal, a new deal with On3 as a national recruiting reporter for, of course, On3. Everybody knows about On3. Everybody, if you're following college football, you know about On3. You've probably seen this guy's face right here. You guys give it up, get in the chat, join me, and welcoming Phillip Dukes to the conversation. Appreciate you joining me, Phillip. How's it going?
Man, Chico, man, I appreciate it, dog, man. It's a blessed day, my dog.
Dukes the Scoops is where you guys can find him on all social media. And Phillip, tell us what it is that you do and what it On3 bring you on to showcase.
Man, so I got a show called the 5-Star Flex. That's basically a recruiting show where we take high school recruits and we give them more of a personality, and we allow them to showcase their personality and who they are as people. And we kind of just put a person behind the face in the rankings. So a lot of times when you hear about recruiting information, the first thing people do is say, oh, okay, where he going to school? And you don't get to find out about the person, what their upbringing was like, what they like to do. And those are all of the things that I focus on in the interview. So, and it also helps those highly rated recruits to get some media training and start to speak about more than where people think they're going to school. And I just think I'm just blessed for the opportunity. And I also do some work in the transfer portal, and that how you probably found me. Sometimes I just do opinion pieces, and they just allow I'll say the owner, Shannon Terry. He definitely. I was working at 24/7. He identified me and said, "Just come on over, and I want you to be yourself." And I said, "You sure you want me to be myself?" He said, "Dude, you got a green light." I said, "All right, cool." So, it's been a great marriage so far.
All right. Well, we're going to get into how that came about. Let's start off with your background. Let us know where you're from, where you come from, and how you came up.
Man, I'm from College Park, Georgia, born and raised right off of road between Roosevelt Highway and Washington Road, Janice Drive. I was always just a happy-go-lucky kid. Grew up in a single-parent home. My mom, she passed away about 2 years ago, was real big in the community. She taught at Tri-Cities High School, which is where Outkast went to school, Escape went to school, plenty of NFL guys, like a really big big little baby went there for a little while, like one of those kind of landmark schools in Atlanta. So, just growing up a teacher's son, she always kept me in church. Those teachers' kids are bad and preachers' kids are bad. So that was kind of, I used to really get in trouble. But I think it was about 10th grade when the light went off for me and I realized like I was headed down like a bad path. I had already stopped playing ball, which is one of my biggest regrets because I wanted to hang out and run the streets or whatever. And so until I got a taste of what was really going on in the street, I got put out of school my 10th grade year, and my mom having connections in the county. Before they sent me to tribunal, they said we're gonna give her one more shot. And when I saw how serious it was, bro, from that point on, like I went from like a 1.5 student, and I always been smart. Look, I can honestly say like God gifted me, and I was always good on standardized tests, but my behavior was always the worst. And so I was about 15 years old in 10th grade, and I just made a decision to be the best I could be. And from that point, I ended up being senior class president, star student at Banneker High School, B-Town, student, senior class president, star student who ever got the highest SAT and a 3.5 GPA. Did all that. So my god brother is Jonas Jennings, who's now the director of player development at Georgia, played in the NFL a long time. That's my god brother, straight out College Park Projects, my boy. Jonas was like, everybody just thought I was gonna go to school with Jonas because we're so tight. But he's like a real big brother to me. But man, I just surprised everybody, and I chose to go to Auburn. Through all the parties, met a lot of cool people, and then that's my story. You feel me? Like, yeah, Camp Creek, you already know him. Yeah, Camp Creek before they had the marketplace. You feel me? Yeah, right. All right.
Shouts out to Camp Creek. I know about Camp. My cousin used to live in Camp Creek. I know about Camp Creek over there.
Yeah, for sure.
And so you go to Auburn, which is not too far from home anyway. You know, that's right down the road. And let's talk about the experiences there because you were there between 2000 2006, right along the time where I would have been coming there. So
Right.
I knew about the party scene and the situation there, along with Tuskegee and such. So
Man.
tell us about your experience a little bit more there at Auburn and how you kind of got involved with the athletic program also.
Man, so I went to Auburn. My mom, God bless her, man. So I graduated early. So when I got to college, I was 17. And by the time I decided to go to Auburn, it was so late in the game. She was like, there ain't no way I'm taking this, letting him get an apartment at 17, because she would have had to sign for it, or somebody would have had to. So a guy by the name of Stacy Danley had a cousin named Vincent Elder who was a coach at Tri-Cities. And Stacy was the associate athletic director at Auburn at the time. So she hit him and was like, look, man, my boy said he want to start back playing ball. He a pretty good athlete. Do you think you can get him in the athletic dorm? He was like, I don't know. So we don't care. He was like, I don't know about all that. Let me see some film. I ain't had no film, no nothing. So basically that was like, that was pretty much dead. So we ran into Ben Thomas, man, Auburn legend. We just on campus, just, we thugging it. And mom, she seen this big old dude. She said, what you do? My mom about 4'11". Just seen him. She pulled up on him like, man, what you do? He was like, well, damn, I work at the Atlanta department. She was like, look, I got this 17-year-old wild you-know-what from Atlanta. I need somebody to help him. And he put me in the athletic dorm and gave me a job. And from that point, so I was still kind of just into the culture so heavy. So when I went to school, I would sell clothes. I go back to Atlanta, and so that's how I would meet everybody. Like, if you wanted to get fresh, you can just come to my room. Yeah, like we talk about iceberg them days. You feel me? Yeah. So I was that guy, the hustler. So from that point, I just running the athletic dorm, selling clothes out of the dorm, threw a party at the dorm. It was an all-guy dorm. If you remember about Sewell Hall at Auburn, we threw a co-ed party one night and almost got everybody put off campus. But those stories endeared me to a lot of people, not just the ball players, but the frats, whatever. So I was one of those guys who could mix in with everybody. Then I actually started throwing parties at in Tuskegee, and that's how I met DJ Scream, who's on Big Facts podcast, does a lot in the industry. He was at Tuskegee. We're both from Atlanta. We started throwing parties, and that's really just kind of how I built my reputation. And I just been kind of making small deposits. And I don't know, man. That was college. I partied way too much. That's how I was there from 2000 2006. But I did get the degree.
Got the degree.
Got the paperwork.
Made plenty networks and relationship with people out there throwing those parties and events. Trust me, I know right. How that works. And so from there, how did you say, you know what, I'm gonna transition, I'm gonna find a way to speak my voice? Because I heard you say that Josh Pat is the Drake. Josh Pat is the Drake of the game. He's where everybody wants to be at in this analyst, commentator type game, YouTube game. So tell us what made you make the pivot to get into it and go for what you know.
Man, really. So one of my I had some good friends that were on coaching staff, some guys that I met at Auburn. So our circle stays pretty tight. And I had some guys who were on some coaching staffs. And I had a lot of plugs at Auburn at the time. And we would just be talking like regular shop talk. And then it was like, hey, bro, you know how much the writers be making? I'm like, for real? He's like, man, some of them getting 6 figures. Now, me at the time, I'm an operations manager at a warehouse. I'm making good money, but I'm like, bro, you mean to tell the same stuff that I'm saying? He's like, yeah. So I get laid off during COVID. And I just go on Twitter. And I was on 24/7 message board. And then my man told me, hey, Auburn finna get 3 commits today. I said, dang. And I went and looked, and the news wasn't nowhere. So I go on the message board. I probably had 20 posts. I'm like, hey, Auburn finna get 3 commits today. These guys will commit today, guaranteed. And people were like, yeah, right. Who is this guy? Somebody banned him. Did it happen? All right. Then 2 weeks later, we finna get a commit today. Expect Auburn to get a commit around 3:30. Boom. It happened again. And so now people are paying attention. And then it just kept happening. And so I asked one of the writers, Keith Never, on 24/7. I was like, hey, Keith, like, this is what I do. And I'm such a novice at the time. I gave him every source I had. I'm like, yeah, me and this guy's best friends, and I got this guy, and he told me this. I burnt all of my sources, but Keith was like, man, look, it's not. I'm thinking they're just gonna throw you in the game, but there's a process in order to, 24/7 is a company that's ran by CBS Sports. So I had no idea. I'm just thinking it's some mom and pop type stuff. Like, hey man, hire me. I know I got information.
Yeah.
So it was like they couldn't hire me at the time. They didn't have no openings, but I still had the information. So I just went on Twitter and just started. I said, all right, y'all didn't hire me. Y'all gonna have to see me anyway. So I just started going on Twitter and I just started throwing information on Twitter. And that was the craziest thing in the world, man. I got like maybe 7,000-8,000 followers in like 6 months, just throwing information up. And it was funny. And then about a year and a half later, Keith moved on to On3, and he was like, hey man, you might want to apply for this job. I know some people who, you know what I'm saying, you could talk to. And then they hired me in a part-time role. They didn't even have a role for me. So I was still working at the warehouse. Now this is 20 years after I graduated. I got that job at 24/7. I just started in this industry 2 years ago.
Yeah. You fresh in it.
Hey, I'm fresh. So it's like, man, it's just a blessing to see how God has kind of exalted me so fast. Whereas it's like, I know it's not coincidence that I'm moving so fast in this industry. And so I just try to do right by people. But that's really my story. Like, I was hustling, bro. Same thing. Like, if there's a consistent theme in my life, is that boy, you don't move on feet, you're not gonna eat. So you gotta hustle.
Not gonna eat.
Right.
Straight up. Shouts out to Outkast. You feel me?
So, yep.
So what has been some of the things you've learned in this industry since being in it in such a short time? What have you learned? What have you picked up on? What have you seen? Okay, yeah, I got to do this. Okay, this is how I need to move. What are some things you learned?
Man, the biggest thing is understanding you can't take nothing personal in when it comes to journalism or any of this stuff. Like, because the people who I've been known to, you know what I'm saying, be the type guy that, I've never been one of them guys who like to see people who hide behind Twitter handles and internet handles and all that. So somebody will say something to me and I say something back, and I learned you can't do that. Like, I can't go tackle the world, the internet, whether they want me here or not, or they don't feel like you can go on some of YouTube, you might see somebody say, well, Dukes has good information, but I can't understand what he's saying behind that slang, or if he could make a complete sentence, not knowing I got 2 degrees, you know what I mean? Like, probably got, like I'm doing very well in life, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I had to learn how to block that out. And that's one of the biggest things is these people don't know you. And if they did know you, they wouldn't have the heart to say that in person. So don't trick yourself out of a good situation because of somebody being ignorant. And I think that's probably been the biggest thing. And I've been able to pass that along to my son. He's 10. And you know how it is just growing up, being able to block people out who have things to say. So that's been the biggest lesson, is being able to block people out. And I think the other one is being never get too high or never get too low. Just stay the course, because, man, I done had some crazy days with some crazy phone calls for some folks. And I had some low days where I done been like, I might have put a prediction out and been dead wrong. Like, the first time I missed a prediction, I was like, I made 18 straight predictions. I missed one. And the one kid that I missed on was a kid I've been knowing his whole life. Right now, he calls me Uncle. I talk to him twice a week right now.
Yeah.
Big time prospect, been knowing him his whole life. He calls, he said he's going to a school. Something happens that same day. He goes blank. I don't talk to the kid for about a week. He was like, man, I was scared to talk to you, but I couldn't do it. I said, man, don't never let this get between us. Zero.
Right.
Like, I don't care. So any of the kids, so like, I think I alluded to it earlier how big my mom was in the community. So I kind of took that on too. So a lot of the athletes, the entertainers, just kids who need help, the homeless, whatever, like, it's from the South Side, College Park, East Point, even Atlanta, like the West Side, like I'm very involved in, always just trying to give somebody a hand up, because I'm the type of person, I'm a hand up, not a hand out guy. So it's like, if I see somebody trying to do something, I'm gonna try to help. Like right now, you might have seen we had some drama going on because my mama's scholarship didn't get given away yesterday. Like, just so that's the type, that's what we own. So I think just by not taking things personally and then always being even, like, because things not always gonna go your way, and you always not gonna get a home run, and you always not gonna strike out. But if you play the law of averages and stay even, things will be all right.
Exactly. Just like in football, they don't know. You don't have to go for a Hail Mary every time. You get 4 yards, eventually you'll score. You get 4 yards, you get a first down, and you'll score. You'll move them chains. You feel me?
Go.
So if everybody, whoever just joining in, we appreciate you joining in. On3, of course, the premier college sports digital media, data, and marketing company for fans, media, coaches, athletes, and brands, have hired Phillip Dukes as national football recruiting host. If you guys don't know, Dukes previously worked for AuburnUndercover of the 247 Sports Network. And he's giving you guys his life story, his background. Y'all go check him out. Just type that in YouTube. You'll find his content. And one of the recent ones he put up is about Coach Prime in Colorado, which we'll go ahead and transition again into now. And why? What was the title of it? Why they hate? I should have had it up there.
Why the hate? Why the hate?
Why the hate? Yeah. Why the hate for Coach Prime in Colorado? Give us a rundown of why you say the hate has come for Coach Prime in Colorado right now.
I mean, I just think people don't know how to separate Deion Sanders from Coach Prime. And I wanted to dig into that because a lot of times people say a lot of mindless things on the internet. And I'm not a tall guy. I'm like 5'8". You know, even though I was kind of stocky and I always had a good build, I always been a proponent for like the underdog. So at the end of the day, like even with Coach Prime like being as big as he is, I don't like folks getting picked on for no reason. So I thought that it was good just to put down to kind of identify reasons that he was getting hated on. Man, there's nothing I can say about a 4-8 record, but I can say I can identify reasons that you woke up in the morning and didn't like this guy because of how he carries himself, or you didn't like this guy because of the way he said a certain word, or you didn't like this guy because he parents his children. So at the end of the day, like I just thought it was fair to provide a voice to kind of break down some of the reasons why people hate, and then and allow haters to see themselves. I think a lot of times, you ever heard the saying that crazy people don't know they crazy? Yeah. So I thought it was cool for me to break it down for a hater, so a hater could see themselves and they be like, well, dang, maybe I am hating. So yeah, that was the whole premise behind it, and it just happened to be about somebody that I respected off the field, about, you know, just in the city of Atlanta, like Deion Sanders, like a forefather when it comes to the culture and the A. So it was just a natural fit, and I didn't think it was gonna go the way that it did, but it did. So now I'm just happy that I just followed my heart.
And in so many ways that, especially coming up in Atlanta like you have, that Deion Sanders have influenced young kids like yourself, older adults and such. And it's evident as you're sitting here right now as a national reporter for On3, for yourself, and you're doing it your way, as you said. Like you said, hey, if I'm coming, I'm gonna have to, hey, you're going to accept me my way, right? I got my hat to the back. Like you say, you wear gold Cartiers. You feel me? You got on 2 gold chains. Talk about the influence of Coach Prime and how he has made it comfortable for you to sit there with the gold chains on, to be yourself. For me to sit here with nappy dreads. And him to, you know, accept me for who I am. Listen to what I'm saying. Not really listening to, you know, how it's coming at you, so to speak. You know, listen to what I'm saying. Tell me your influence in with Coach Prime and how coming up he has influenced you to help you get to where you are right now.
I mean, like, when you talk about having a flair, like, and you talk about, like, I had 2 guys, it may sound crazy, but I looked up to 2 guys when it came to attitude, and that was Ric Flair and Deion Sanders.
Hey, baby, hey, I ain't gonna cut you off, but I'm gonna have to tell you, hey, we brothers from another mother then, if that's the case. Shout out to the Nature Boy.
Yeah, for sure. Like, so, you know, yeah. Yeah. You know, like in Atlanta, man, if you didn't have cable, you had to watch Channel 17, which is TBS.
Yes.
So we got TBS free, so you can watch the Braves and you can watch WCW. And before WCW was NWA.
Yes.
And so, and then before then, we had the show. It used to be Joe Pedicino and Bonnie something. I forgot her name, Bonnie something. But man, we used to watch all the wrestling, man. So Ric Flair was the guy, and the reason I liked Ric Flair was because even though he came out, he did it his way. He won.
Yeah.
He won.
Yeah.
And there were guys who may have been cooler than Ric Flair. Like, you got some guys like when Scott Steiner came out, or you got some guys like Too Cold Scorpio, all these type guys, right? But they didn't win as much as him, right?
Right.
Deion, there were some guys like in the league who, okay, when Deion left the 49, when he left the Falcons and he came back, and you know, the city was sad, bro. Like, they sucked the air out of Atlanta that year. When Dominique and Deion did, oh yeah, it was a wrap. But when he left, you know, there were you secretly, I would always want to be on a winning team. And I wanted to do things that would allow me to win. And so guys that won and still express themselves have always been the type of guys that, you know, I looked up to. So I think, like, with Coach Prime's, I think with Coach Prime's influence on not just me, but the people who grew up around me and my city, I think it's like when you can really look at who Deion Sanders really is, and this ain't about Coach Prime, this is just Deion Sanders right now. When you look at what he was able to do, the high stepping came because he was 10 yards down the field. Like, you didn't see Deion celebrate. He wasn't like, he didn't have the Leon Lett situation where he started too early. You never saw nobody come strip the ball from him. He did it because he was able. So I think, and there were times that if he didn't make a play, he didn't get it. If he made an almost play, he wasn't getting up celebrating. He was upset because he wanted to make the next one, and he was saying, "Hey, do it again." And I'm taking that to the house. And I kind of learned from that because maybe I wasn't a 4.2 40, and maybe I, and I ain't tall or as long or as good as athlete as Coach Prime, but man, you put me in my arena, I'm a 4.2 40 on this camera. You know what I'm saying? I'm a 6'2" corner on this microphone. And that's how I take things. So that same flair for great and being myself and being able to express myself, it doesn't just stay on the field. It translates to all areas of life for people that can process it the right way. So yeah, I just think it's like, how people say drink responsibly. Because if you drink irresponsibly, right? If you drink responsibly, you can get a good buzz and everybody's okay and everybody can be safe. You drink irresponsibly, it can go really wrong. And I think it's the same thing when it comes to that attitude. You have to be responsible when you do look up to guys like that, because sometimes you can just be like, hey, if you high step every play, well, you won't be a successful football player. Mm-hmm. It's understanding when and how to. And I think the when and the where to do certain things, I think I picked up. That's something I can say Coach Prime definitely influenced me with.
100%. And the preparation to even get to the point to where you can high step, a lot of people are missing that and underestimating that, to get to the point where I can be 10 yards down the field. I had to put in some work before that. And right now we're at the 21 mark as far as 21 minutes in the show. So I can ask you a few more things that you went over about that in the Colorado program that you had. But I saw just a silly video saying that Shadur Sanders is not projected to be an NFL draft pick. He's projected as a undrafted free agent in next year's draft. How silly is that? And where do you feel about Shadur Sanders going next year's draft?
Man, that is silly enough to be the cover of a trick cereal box. Silly. That's silly. Yeah, that's silly. Like, when you talk about Shadur's draft potential, you're talking about a guy who has great size. He has just enough athleticism. He also comes from a football family. He also has a high football IQ, and he's on time. He's on schedule, and he has a strong arm. Right. He can make all the throws. I measure guys a lot of time, and NFL scouts as well. They measure you by can you throw the 18-yard out. And you can ask anybody who knows. Like, when I talk to these scouts, that's one of the main throws. That is the throw that got Matt Ryan drafted 3 overall, and that's the same throw that Shadur makes with ease. And I think what's really underrated about Shadur is his processor. I think having a strong processor allows you to play in any system. Because even if you're in an RPO-based system, making the right reads by processing correctly in the pre-snap allows you to make those type of reads. So yeah, I would be shocked if Shadur makes it out of the top 5, and I would bet my house he don't make it out the top 10.
What team, situation, city do you think would be the best for Shadur Sanders?
Man, I think I don't think they have a pick next year, but Denver would have been perfect just to stay in that Colorado region. I think as far as what Sean Payton likes to do, he would have been a good fit, but they went ahead and got Bo Nix. I think that would be a good situation. I could also see Seattle being a good situation, especially like with Geno Smith being it, still having some tread left on the tire by him having a new system up there and what they're doing. I think he could be the guy that could usher them into the next generation of Seahawk football in the 12th man. So, but I just don't think they'll have. I don't think they'll be drafting high enough for that. So, yeah, I think we'll see who. Because it seems like a lot of the high draft picks this year may be back there. I can see Washington being back in that top 10. They got a quarterback. But you never know, man. Sometimes, I don't think anybody pegged C.J. Stroud having the type of year that he was going to have. So, yeah, I mean, but I do think Seattle would probably be a good situation for them. They already got receivers. They got a strong running game. And I think the defense that came over is going to work well for them. So yeah, I think Seattle would be a good fit.
All right, before he even get to the NFL draft, we got to get through this season going through the Big 12, and they make a lot of additions. And you done events back in the day at Auburn, as you mentioned, and I like to always use this analogy that it's more players trying to get into this Colorado Coach Prime club than it is trying to leave outside of the club. The line is longer outside than it is to leave, basically. You know, so with 40 plus players leaving, 36 already coming in. You don't see that in a lot of other programs. You see Georgia losing players, Clemson losing players, not bringing in a lot of players from the transfer portal. How do you feel about Coach Prime usage of the transfer portal?
I think he's done a great job. I think it's been a focal point, and I think the reason that it is a focal point because of what he had to turn over in such a short period of time. Mm-hmm. I think that if the results that he has, that him understanding the gravity of the situation and knowing that, okay, I need to win now. And it's not even I need to keep my job. It's I want to win now. What's the best way to win now? To get guys who already have experience to not be able to not have to wait on a guy to develop. I think is really important. Why you hear DS pure troll? Yeah, so I think just by not being able to have a guy who has to develop at whatever position, you're bringing in seasoned offensive linemen, you're bringing in seasoned linebackers. When the bright lights get on you, when you can't trust a high school freshman to come in and play in that type of high pressure situation. If you do, it's going to have to be on the level of Travis Hunter. And we even saw a guy like Corman McClain who struggled under the lights. And I think Corman is a good player, and I think he'll have a great career. But I just think it was a lot for him. So having guys who have already played under the lights, who are used to a college football environment, because the culture in Colorado, even though it's a lot of glitz and glamour on the outside, it's damn near boot camp on the inside. So having a guy who has the maturity to be able to deal with that, I think is important. And there's a term that people use in recruiting is you can do a lot more if your player's got a mustache, which means that the more mature the guy, the more you're able to do. And so I think Deion and Coach Prime in Colorado are doing a great job of bringing guys in. I'm going to tell you one. I know him personally. Nakai Green. Nakai's a grown man. That was a great pickup. I'm telling you. He's a leader on and off the field. He's about his business. And he went to Colorado because he felt like it's somewhere that he can blossom. I'm telling you right now, that's a guy to watch out for. He started at Michigan, ended up going to, Charlotte.
Yep.
Went to Charlotte. Yep. In high school, he played on the same. He was in the linebacker core with Jamon Dumas-Johnson, all SEC guy from Georgia who ended up transferring to Kentucky, national champion winner. Those two were a hell of a linebacker core. And I'm just telling you, like, Colorado got a really good pickup with him.
I think he's a great addition. Also picked up a guy from the HBCU ranks today, and Johnny Chainsaw Chaney, who did well for the FAMU Rattlers last year. So a lot of competition now at the linebacker position for Coach Prime in Colorado. A lot of guys you've covered, coming up are now in college, and some of the guys are now with Coach Prime, as you mentioned, linebacker Green Hill. Any other guys on this team that stands out to you that Coach Prime has brought along?
Hey, Colton Hood, the real deal. Bet it. Whatever anybody say. Colton, now, what people don't realize is Colton Hood was a baseball player growing up. So he never got to do the spring circuit. But when he would have been a 4-star if he would have had more of those looks. And he wasn't 4, but he would have been a consensus 4-star. I think a couple of sites had him as a 4-star, and he came out like right on the borderline. But man, he killed it in spring at Auburn. The nephew of Roger Hood, a good friend of mine, and I've been seeing him a long time. Great kid, yes sir, eye contact type guy. And his brother Cole too, the baby brother Brandon. He had a bad knee injury his 11th grade year. A lot of teams fell off of him, but he had every school in the country almost. Like he had a who's list. I'm not gonna say every school, but he had the LSU's, he had the Auburn. I mean, he had a lot of offers. I think he was close to get at Auburn, but I know he had LSU, Florida, Michigan State. He had a ton of schools, and I just think that Hood family, their uncle Roderick played 8 years in the NFL and came to Auburn as a walk-on, which a lot of people don't know. Earned his role, and I think that those are two guys that help you that help you kind of just spread the culture even more, just because of how they were raised and the type of work ethic they have. And Colton is somebody that I absolutely know is somebody that Auburn didn't want to lose. And right now, he would have been a third cornerback. And some people thought he would have been thought he should have been starting. So, I mean, whoever's on that other island, on the other side of Travis Hunter, got some competition.
Definitely. Shouts out to DJ McKinney, Preston Hodge, and now you bring in Colton Hood. Got some competition.
And Colton can play the slot as well. He's got good length, but he can also play the slot. He's got good hips, so he can play the slot. He gives you a lot of versatility, but that's somebody I'm excited to watch in Colorado.
Loving it. Let me see here. And then you talk about that football family, that Hood football family. A lot of people understate that Sanders family, but a lot of times when you're the Matthews family or the Manning family, that stuff get magnified. You got to magnify the Sanders family too, and the Hood family, and the other families that's of football that's out here and producing guys.
Yeah, I think the Hoods in that one generation between uncle, nephew, father, son, they had eight of them that played college football between that one generation. Like group Power 5 football, or at least D1, and maybe 6 played Power 5. I had another one went to Auburn, 2 went to Auburn. There's another one right now that I'm not sure. I think he Trent Hood, Roger.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, did he just win the Alabama Defensive Player of the Year or something like that?
Yeah, I think in his
7-8.
Yeah. Like now, Trent can go too. He was only thing with Trent is he was just a little short at linebacker, but man, he could play. I'm gonna tell you who he remind me of. He ain't that far. Him and Montrez Walker ain't that far apart.
Exactly. I was thinking that, you got Walker coming in from Georgia, 5'11", 225-pound linebacker, middle linebacker, dog too. But then also Trent Hood probably like in that same mold, about 5'11", 5'10 and a half, and come from that background, football pedigree.
Yeah, thumper.
Played in the highest level in Alabama football, high school football. So, hey,
let me tell you something about them too. If they hit you've been hit. Period.
Right now, he's committed to Auburn as a walk-on, or was it a scholarship offer?
I think he's a PWO at Auburn, but that was really just based on him wanting just to go to Auburn and be with his family. So we'll see how that works out. He definitely wanted to follow in his father's legacy, but having his cousins there also helped. But having his cousins at Colorado. Because Brandon had different offers too. So we'll see how that works out. But I think if that does work, it'll be good for Colorado. But, yeah, definitely those Hoods. Montrez Walker is another one that can really play.
All right. You probably got a word about Michael Welch, too, while he was in high school out there in Georgia also. Dog, he's been putting on as a freshman for Colorado. Look like he's going to be able to make some contributions this year also.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think so. And also he's I call him a Colorado kid because he's somebody who's going to do the work. And I think I think players that when I talk to players from my neighborhood and they ask me about Colorado, I say, man, you got to go out there and put your sunglasses on and go to work.
Yeah,
like, it's a lot of lights out there, but you find out how to go to work. If you can work out there, you can work in the league. But don't ever let the lights get in front of the work. And he's a kid and Welch is the type of guy who ain't letting the lights get in front of the work.
Exactly. Yep. They hear the work. And I always say this, man. I think Colorado and Boulder, how it's positioned, where it's located, and with Coach Prime being up there with so much years of NFL experience on his staff, I feel like it's more of what Coach Prime is building is like an incubator system for guys who want to go to the league. We're going to win college football games in the meantime, but this is where you can come up here. You can not worry about the stuff from the inner city like a lot of players come from, and that you'll be familiar with. You get up here to something different. We're gonna feed you good. You're gonna live good. It's gonna be about school, football, and learning to be a man. And I think a lot of kids miss out on that and not understanding what this opportunity is that Coach Prime is presenting them with.
I think there are very few coaches in college football that are going to be able to call you and have a conversation that Coach Prime is going to be able to have with you,
right?
And have it with your parents. And hold you accountable, and that's done it at that level. I think it's understated too. Just like when we talk about the culture, and Coach Prime it's not even just about wins and losses. It's about being able to run a program. And even just him improving on the program last year by 3 wins, I thought was important because it showed that he can captain the ship. He could have easily parked that ship and got 0 wins or got 1 win again, but he didn't. He improved. You know what I'm saying? That could have easily happened. So just captaining that ship and not having and then understanding the holes, knowing he didn't have the depth that he needed more quality depth this year. And I think that's what he went after. Like some of the guys who left out, yeah, they're good pieces, and I think they could fit in other places, but they may not have fit the puzzle of Colorado the way it need to be. So, and you'll see how it happens. That Coach Prime goes out and wins 4 games again. He's going to be disappointed. He's going to talk about himself.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the expectation. I think it's fair just to give him an opportunity to see what happens.
Yeah, I think, like you say, he built up the hope last year. Now people have some expectations for him, you know.
Yeah.
And with your background covering a lot of these high school players, knowing them coming out, especially the 5-star guys with the 5-star flex, y'all make sure y'all go check that out. You've seen Corman McClain come out 5-star, and as you alluded to earlier, it didn't work out with him in Colorado. From your point of view, why do you feel like it didn't work out for Corman McClain? And players of his maybe caliber or mindset, or so to speak, why? Let me see. How can I? Why wouldn't it work out for a player of that nature? Should I say?
I mean, so 5 stars, that ranking when it comes to working out the whole way, they have a better average, but it's still an average. And every year there's going to be a 5-star that doesn't work or it doesn't work out. It don't matter what they do or where they go. It's always going to be a 5-star that doesn't pan out. I think Corman McClain still has the opportunity to pan out based on his skill set, but it didn't work out there. And I don't know the intricate reasons of why, but I do know that there was a bit of a culture shock for Corman when he got there, and the discipline that goes along with being a Colorado football player can be a shock. And we're in a day and age where you don't have to wait until the situation works for you. You can just go get another situation. And I think that's what he chose to do. And I think there was some emotions there. I think that it's almost like a parent watching their kid say, "I'm leaving." All right. Yeah. Sometimes you got to love somebody enough to let them go. And I think that's what happened between Corman and Coach Prime, where it was like, "Hey, look, man, if you feel like you can go get better, I want you to go get better." But I can't sit, and I feel like what Coach Prime was saying was, I can't sit here and allow you to be not the best the best version of yourself under my watch, because I see something different than you see right now. And sometimes, like, if 2 players and you don't play ball, you know it could be the star guy, but if he don't see what the coach see and they're not on the same page, it's never going to work out. And if you allow a guy to stay in your locker room who's not seeing eye to eye with the coach, man, that one apple, it don't even have to be a bad apple. It could be a great apple, but if that apple doesn't match with whatever else is going on, it's going to stand out. So I just think that it's probably was best for both parties for Corman to get out there at this point. I wish it worked out. And, it might be one of those things where he goes somewhere else and find out, hey, man, I had a better Colorado. He might be back. So you never know, man. You see it every day. We call them boomerangs, people that leave a school. What my guy did from Colorado just went back to Florida State. Same thing.
Went back to Florida State, yeah.
It happens both ways.
Cooper.
Yep. Omarion Cooper, exactly. So it happens both ways. So I just want Corman, like, and this is something that I feel comfortable saying. I want the best for the young brother. So if somebody could tap into Corman and unleash that potential, that's where he needs to be. And it's not an indictment on Coach Prime, just because if he goes somewhere else and balls out, it's not an indictment on Coach Prime. And if he goes somewhere and don't do well, it's not an indictment on Corman McClain. What it is that marriage didn't work, but that doesn't make them separate bad people in any fashion of the word. So I just think that sometimes things don't work out.
100%. Just because that marriage didn't work out, don't mean that they're terrible individually.
Yep.
Hey, thank you for joining me once again. I know I had some more questions coming on, but I know you're busy. Hopefully we can link up and continue to do this one way or another. The end on this, though, you said, Coach Prime, go do it for the culture. Go win for the culture, dog, because, they're already hating on you. Break down what you meant by that before we get up out of here. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Make sure you put your city and your state in the chat. Let Phillip Dukes with the scoops, know where you're checking in from and how you're checking in, dog. But let us know right there, man. Why should Coach Prime do it for the culture, and what would that mean?
Man, it's like, Coach, man, that was really just me saying, like, hey, Coach, like, man, we, like, you know, that's me talking to Deion Sanders, like, hey, Coach, like, Deion, Coach Prime, whatever it is, like, man, do it for me. Like, do it for the guys, and not because I'm a media guy, but do it for the guys who grew up in the single parent home, who didn't have everything that everybody else had. Do it for the guys working in the industry where people say that you aren't qualified. Do it for the guys who are that want to wear their hat backwards sometimes, that know how to put on a suit when it's time. But if I don't have to, I don't feel like I have to overdress just to make myself on the same level as the next man. So do it for those guys. Like, cause I could wear a suit, like, and great tailor, but I don't have to right now, and I feel good about it. Like, you get what I'm saying? Do it for us, for the people who can be comfortable in their own skin, because because people respect the content of your character, to quote Dr. King, and the quality of work that you produce. And I think that's important. So if Coach Prime can show people that, not like, even there are so many coaches that got jobs this past year that look more like Coach Prime than they look like anybody else. And I'll leave it at that. The more he does, the better it is for everybody who may not be a traditional hire in whatever field it is. The more I don't care if you're going to you want to be the plant manager at a warehouse, if you want to be the lead chef at Capitol Grill, it don't matter. You may be able to do things a different way, and it allows the world, because college football is one of the biggest sports in the world, hands down. I think you got soccer. We talk about worldwide. You got soccer, NFL, then probably either basketball or college football. To be able to impact so many different walks of life through one man and what he's doing, and for everybody who subscribes to the walk, the talk, the flair, doing things your way within reason, I think it says a lot. So I just think, like, that's why I said it was genuine. I'm like, hey, Coach, hey, dog, man, do it for the coach a bit, dog. Like, hey, I'm but like, you know, like I didn't get that interview clear, not the interview, but I didn't get that piece clear. I just did it. I was like, bro, I'm doing it. And I just want to shout out the Colorado fans and the Colorado haters, because they made it so popular that On3 was like, hey, bro, we need more of that. Like, we need more. They was like, hey, we need, hey, yeah, great job. Yeah, and I think it's important too, because sometimes you got to show people what they actually need.
Right.
Like, hey, and it's not that they told me not to, because Shannon Terry, I will say, said, Dukes, man, be yourself and go do it in a way that you're still authentically you, and use that brain. And he didn't say it in a condescending fashion at all. And he really said it like, hey, dog, you got something special, so go show people why I gambled on you. Because to keep it a buck, he did gamble, because he invested. That's all I'm gonna say.
Exactly.
But he came and got me. I tell you what, I ain't working in the White House no more, and that would have been good money. So I'm gonna keep being myself. That's what they told me to do. What they say, you look good, feel good. I gotta put these chains on. I'm gonna speak better. You look good, feel good, play good, pay good. Who said that?
They gonna pay good. And Prime said that 100%. Shouts out to On3.
Yes, sir.
Man, hey, I know I said that's the last question, but those came back to me. And it was a great point you made at the end, which is any other coach can go take home visits, dog. Coach Prime know what he's doing. Any other coach can go take home visits. And like you said, the kids might come out. If Kirby Smart come to your school, they might come out, take a picture, and then they leave. They might come and say, oh, that's good, and then they leave. Man, Coach Prime come, it's going to be an event at the school. You're going to have some teachers leaving to want to come see him. Probably bring the whole class. Coach Prime's in the cafeteria. Oh, we're going to – listen, it's a different type of event. And I'm going to let you leave on your thoughts on him taking home visits, and how important do you think it is for him to take those home visits? Do you think – I know you said in the future he might even do it, and it's kind of like a build-up, like an event almost, as you know about.
Man,
and if he mess around and come and take one –
look, I think Coach Prime had to focus on getting what he had to get done first, right? Which is raising the level of the total, raising the talent level across all 85 or 93, however many, whatever the roster is, raising the talent level. Once that gets in there, you mean to tell me if you don't think Deion Sanders would go do a home visit to go get the guy who's going to make that engine go, that engine that's going to make that car go, that Ferrari, whatever it is that Colorado is becoming, if you don't like, he's going to save. I think that's like his golden bullet, and I think that if he has to go, it's going to say so much that he'll gradually get into more of them. But that's just my opinion because I know how I'm a thinker, and I know Coach Prime is as well. So him leveraging home visits, all he did was create leverage because now when he does, when he can't go to every high school, but how do you make them smart? Like, how do you make home visits smart? You go to the creme de la creme. You go get the guy that you absolutely have to have. And I think that as those players start to show themselves, if he knows he's in a dogfight at the end, and that's going to be the deciding factor, I guarantee you he'll do it because he cares more about the program than he cares about, whatever his idea of making home visits. But just to keep it a buck, he don't have to do it because the average coach can't call a recruit and say, can't call a recruit's parent and say, and say, hey man, turn on the TV and I'm gonna give you a shout out. Can't nobody else do that. Not on the TV show, not in a non-football related situation. Hey man, did you see what I had on the Affleck commercial? Yeah, that was me. Who was on there with him? Nick Saban. He ain't here no more.
Right.
So it ain't a whole lot of coaches that's going to get that type of name recognition based on more than being a coach, which I think is huge. Not just who you are as a coach, because every other college coach, I can't name another one whose identity currently isn't based in them being a coach. Coach Prime is the only one whose identity, he has two. He's still prime time. He's Deion Sanders, and he's Coach Prime. I mean, it's a special situation, dog. It really is.
Broke it down perfectly. I appreciate that, Dukes, the scoop. Let them know where they can find you at if they don't know already.
Man, hit me on Twitter at now currently X at Dukes D Scoop, and Instagram. There you go, Instagram at Dukes D Scoop. And yeah, man, follow me, man. Shoot me a shout out, whatever. Like I'm a real I ain't no Hollywood stuff going on. Hit me, we can talk about it for sure.
That's right. That's how we got here. Simple DM, email, inbox, whatever you call it, and we here right now. And hopefully, hey man, we could do this again, man. Reoccurring or somehow we could do this again and possibly create something together. So in the meantime, though, hey,
now you got to come on my show now.
In. Go ahead, let them know. Say it again.
Now you got to come on 5-Star Flex now, my boy. You ain't getting away that easy. Yeah, we got to put on 3 bit, dog.
100%. Yeah. I'm there. Whenever you need me, let me know. I'm there.
I will do.
All right, bro. I appreciate you, man, and keep doing your thing, dog. Y'all already know what it is, man. The Big Dog Chico. That was Phillip Dukes, the one and only. Y'all check him out. Follow him right now, and stay tuned for more to come. The biggest dog of them all. Chico to the sea and the place to be. I'm up and about this thing. Peace in the Middle East. Yeah.